Hello there, guys. Welcome back to another live stream. Sorry. My name's Mike, aka Decimal Punked, and we're in the Unreal Engine 5.5.4. Sorry, I seem to have started the stream with a frog in my throat. So last night I did a stream. I think it was about 3 hours, and I do apologise. Towards the end, I think my blood sugars were high, and alongside that, I was also quite tired. So I just wasn't able to use my full brain power. So what we did was, if I go to the robot, I think, where have I put the robot? There we go. So we got the robot in, or he was already in, but we set up the light. So it uses the fog now, and it has this really beautiful glow. And then at the same time, I've put in these dust particles that you can just about see, these little grey particles. And they've got frustum culling, so they will only... They're all throughout the entire ship, but you'll only see the amount as you're walking through, so it doesn't render the whole lot, so it saves on performance. And then the other thing I was really working on was the directional light. So if I turn that off, we also put in this night sky, and the directional light I was playing around with, and it does cast this really cool effect. Like if I simulate, you'll see that's the fan blades from the industrial fan. That's literally the effect I was after with that. But there is some weird stuff going on with the lighting, so you can see there's this like noise. It looks a bit weird around the edge there, and also around the rest of the ship you can see how far the light affects it. So essentially I'm not going to do any light in this stream, but you can kind of see the effect I was going for. This whole section here was meant to beam this beautiful light in from the planet. The planet's meant to be kind of red, or it is red. So I'm thinking I'll probably experiment around with the lighting on that. Maybe see if a different light would have a better impact than the directional light. Because there's enough ambient light from within the spaceship without that directional light. If I turn that off... Oh, sorry, it's visible at the moment. If I turn that off, there's enough light. It's perfectly lit how I want, especially the atrium. So what I'm thinking is I'll play around with different lights and just see if there's one that works better, because I also want the planet to be illuminated. That's the whole thing that's meant to give off the red glow. But it's coming along though, so you know, this is really cool. It's just a bit it's affecting the level too much, so that's going to be put on the back burner for the time being. And then the other thing I started on was the lootables. So essentially we've got a looting barrel. This was also something my brain wasn't at full capacity for, but essentially what we did was we made a blueprint interface. So you go on here, you go blueprint interface, and then we've just given it one function, which is interact. So very simple, that's all we did in there. And then what you do is, I think it's on the class settings. You go on the class settings of an actor, and on the right hand side you can add the interface, the interface, and then it shows up here. So like you can double click it and then it adds it to the graph. So then that interface, you know, then you do the logic, and from within the player character we're doing a line trace. So we press E, and we do a line trace from the first person character. Get the start, get the end, and we're showing it in engine for testing. And then what we're doing is whatever it hits, we're checking, does it have this interface, the interact? If it does, we then trigger that custom event. So it's nice and simple. So there was one thing I wanted to quickly do, guys, which was to do with the AI. So where was it? It's on the behavior tree. Yeah, move to enemy actor. So what I'm just going to quickly do before I just jump into the what's it? The before I jump into the code for the creature spawning, I just want to test something quickly. So if I simulate, he spazzes out like that. Okay. We're going to have logic so that he attacks the player once he gets to the player's location. Now I noticed this variable, so here we go. Fixed distance added to threshold between AI and goal location and destination reach test. So essentially, if the robot is getting the first person character's point, that will be almost 000. So on that basis, if I go to the blackboard and on the move to enemy actor, BTT chase player, rotate to face player. Yeah, we've got quite a few different. Here we go. Enemy actor. Yeah. So what we're going to do, we're just going to quickly increase that, and we're going to put it up to 100. Let's make it a little bit further. If we actually click on the capture component, yeah, you've got the radius there, so move to... the default was 5 on that. I'm going to put it to 200. Yeah, so you can see he's stopping at radius there. So I'm going to put that back down to 100. I think there is a way, yeah, you can show capsule component. I'm going to turn that off so we can see my collision box there. And if we go on the enemy and do so, you can actually see there, look, you can see his collision box isn't even touching ours. Like, I have to get to like here. So if we go back into here and put to 5, you can actually see, like, you see the distance there. It's literally touching. If we change that to 0, it will probably overlap. No, it doesn't. I mean, that's interesting to see though, isn't it? So we want to also give her like a lerp, so because you see at the moment how he's kind of just, it's very like, when it moves it's rigid, it's not smooth. So I think if we had a lerp, it would just make that turning rotation look a lot nicer. But that's a polish. I'm going to add that to, it's already on the bug fix. It's not really a bug fix, it's a polish. Right, so we'll leave those capsule components visible in engine. We're going to leave the acceptable radius at 0. It was 5 by default. And like I say, we've got the interface. And apparently this is much more efficient on the hardware, using this instead of casting. So cast to this, cast to that, giving it an interact interface where we can actually, you know, put in the logic afterwards, and then within the player character, you know, we just do a line trace when we press E. It's just much more efficient. So at the moment, what we've got for the barrel is destroy actor. So if I just show you this, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to move the robot so he's not getting in our way. I'm just going to put him over here, and then he will do what he needs to do. Okay, right, save all. Okay, so I'm going to simulate, guys, and what we have, you see when I press E, we're getting the line traces on screen. So when I press E, we destroy it. Okay, very simple, but that was for testing. We're not wanting to actually destroy it. So what we're going to want to do, when we, if we actually make a reference to the player character, because what we need to do is we need to get the spawn chance. So down here I've basically got the spawn chance. So the first thing we want to do when we interact with a container, we're going to want a delay, and if I just check my documentation, it's a 5-second delay. Welcome to the stream, guys. So what this delay is going to do is, that's basically the time to loot a barrel. Now, we don't want this happening multiple times. If I have a boolean called is looting, so basically we're going to get, and we're going to have a branch, so we're going to check is it being looted. If it is true, nothing's going to happen. If it's not been looted, then what we're going to do is we're going to set is looting to true. So when we interact with it via the line trace, by default it's not true, so we're saying, are they looting? We know it's not, so we're going to go straight to this and we're going to say is looting, and then yeah, we're going to say is looting. Is looting, and then a delay of 5 seconds. So then if we were to push E again, we're not going to go down this line of logic because the looting variable's been set here. I'm going to add another variable called looted, because when an object has been looted, actually, to be fair, we could probably have that at the beginning. If true, nothing. Yeah, it makes sense to have that as a check. Has the object been looted? Yes, it has. Don't do anything. No, the item hasn't been looted. Then we check, is the player actively looting? If they're not, then we loot it. And then after the 5 seconds, we're going to set static mesh. Which will be, so if that's barrel closed, we need barrel open. Lootables open, barrel open. Okay, so that's basically the first load of logic. I'm just going to bring this down. I like my code to be nice and tidy, guys. Okay. So we're going to do a line cast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we have it. It's been looted. I'll just watch these. So basically, what I want to happen is once that's been looted, it will check the player's spawn chance. Now what we need to do as well in this logic is after that timer we need to set looted to true. And then what we're going to want to do is have a separate event which will be a custom event, and I'm thinking of giving like a timer, and because there's a total of, I think it was 64, let me just check, 64 divided by 4, 16, yeah, there's 64 lootables. There's 64 lootables on the level, right? And the player gets a guaranteed spawn of a creature on the 10th attempt, should they be so unlucky. So we basically have a timer afterwards, which would be I don't know, like if we do a custom event and say reset lootable, and then if I did a delay, just for testing purposes, if I did a delay of 1 second, like I say, we can change the speed of that. We'd set the static mesh to barrel closed. So after a second, set the static mesh to barrel closed and set looted. Okay. So after 5 seconds, it's open, and then we say it's been looted, which means this logic, all that logic will never happen. And then at the end here, we're going to trigger a custom event. And what that will do is handle the resetting of the loop. Nice and simple. I've got a thing with everything being aligned to the grid. It's definitely the OCD in me. So let's test this. So we loot, where is it? We loot 1. It's going to open, and then after a second it will revert back. There we go. So we know, for example, if I was to increase this to 15 seconds and say, okay, I'm gonna loot that, and then 1, 2, 3, that one. The lids come off. And then those first 2 are going to revert back so that they're able to be looted. There we go. Beautiful. Okay. So the next thing we need to do, so that handles the actual physical changing of the mesh to represent it's been looted by the player. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do I think I'm going to do a 5-minute. No, hold on. 5 times 6, 300. So 300. So basically 300 seconds is 5 minutes. So basically once you've looted a container, it will be 5 minutes until it's able to be kind of respawned or looted again. It's just in the off chance that the player is really unlucky, because what happens when the player is escorting one of these creatures to the center of the map, if a robot AI grabs a creature, it's basically returned to where it was spawned, and then the player has to go through that whole process again of finding another creature and continuing to loot. So by putting in the loot being reset, it it just handles that case. So what do we need to do next? Right, so we need to spawn a creature. So we need to spawn the creature where the barrel is. So it's going to be a little bit tricky because I guess you'd want to get the location. Like at the moment, the lootable barrels are here, right? So when you spawn a creature, you're going to want to get the world location. Or actually, it might be better if you spawned it Give me 1 second. Let me just have a look here. Okay, so that handles the looting. So once something's been looted, we're going to do a dice roll. So I'm just trying to think the best thing to do this. If I had a spawn manager that was just in the center of the map and that handled the code for all of the creatures, no, it feels like it needs to come from here. And there needs to be something. I'm just trying to think the best way to do this. Let me just have a look at the logic. I mean, if I was to create an object reference, this is the tricky bit. Just thinking of the most optimal way to handle this. So, at the end of here, we're going to be doing the dice roll. The dice roll is based off of the player. We're going to check the spawn chance. So. Right, we're on the barrel. Right, okay. I think the best thing to do here is to create a reference to the player character. So if I do that and call it player and first person character object reference and then begin play, we're going to cast to first person character. Just wondering what the best node would be. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, so what we're going to do is set the player reference there. So at the very start of play, so beginning play, we're cast into the first person character just once, and we're setting our player reference there, which now means we'll be able to call the variables. Okay, so increase spawn chance. What I'm going to do, just for debug, guys, I'm going to plug these in here. So the print string will basically print to the developer, top left of the screen, and just say, it will just let us know that our loot, chance to loot, has been increased. And then we can clear these off. It's just while we're testing. Now, as you can see, we have 10 different things here, so I can't really just choose. Actually, no, you can't. So they all need to have their own individual print string. I don't know why I did that. I knew it wouldn't. I knew it wouldn't work. Okay, so each time our each time reset spawn, set spawn index to 0, yeah. So each time we fail a loot, we're increasing the spawn chance, guys. Okay, so that's going to print to screen. So right, I'm just going to do comments here. Okay, so this handles the looting. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to have a separate, I'm going to create a separate custom event which will be called, I'm just going to call it Dice Roll. Or I could call it Spawn Creature question mark. Because that's dependent on a dice roll. So let's create a custom event and we'll call this Spawn Creature question mark. And then put that there. I have a thing with my code being nice and tidy. Okay, sorry guys. It's the OCD in me. Right, so set the player reference, reset the lootable, loot the container, and then do the dice roll. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to right, we're going to do random float. So random float. Okay, so we're going to say from 0 to 100. Because as you can see on the player character, we start low and then we essentially get to 100% chance when we get to the top. So you would basically I'm going to close these ones. Don't need those open. So we're going to do a random float in range. Basically we're picking a number from 0 to 100, and then what you want to do is say if that for example was 50, we're basically comparing it. So we're going to say so if we get the player character and then if we get the spawn chance, we're gonna say, oh fudge. Well, no, sorry, we're not gonna say oh fudge. We're gonna say is this? I think you'd want to have that there actually, and then you want to say equal or less. So it's basically saying do the dice roll, and then if for example it was 50, get the random floating range. That if that gives us a 50, we're saying is that 50 equal to or less than the spawn chance. So if it's not equal to that or less than that, then it doesn't spawn anything. Okay. So if it's true, then we spawn a creature. If it's false, then what we do is we're going to get we're going to trigger the spawn chance, which when we call that custom event, it's going to add +1 to the spawn index, and then based on the input, which will be, well, it will start from 0, so it will be 1, and then straight away it will increase the spawn chance to 15.56%. So we're going to call the custom event increase spawn. So if we fail, we trigger that. So we can actually test this now. We should be able to. So if we click on that, why is it saying hello? Why did it just say hello? Oh no! Oh no! That's what we want printed, sorry. It failed. Actually, so if we actually just get a couple of these. So you can see there. Right, we've got 3 more to loot. Let's hope for yay! We got one! We got a success, which means we got a creature. So if there's a success, if it's successful, you want to spawn the creature, but you also want to reset the spawn. You don't want the player to still have that high chance of spawn. The idea is the mechanic, it resets after you've looted. So reset chance to default. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna move that back there. there a way we can connect that to that? Oh. There we go. So if we're successful, I'm just going to check. I'm pretty sure I did. Closed barrel. If I just check. Oh my god. Complex. Use complex collision as simple. So that's the closed. So let's just check the open ones. So that's barrel open. That's crate open. Locker blue open. Copper open. Okay, sorry. Right, what we're going to do, we're going to check. So under the first person character, when we call this reset spawn chance, we set spawn index to 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dot a few more around just for testing purposes. Because what we want to see, we want to see that the loot resets. So there you go. So you see it went up to 15. Wow! Why did it just display 5? Oh, sorry, the spawn chance. Oh my god. Sorry. That threw me off. I was like, why is it so 5? Sorry, guys. There we go. Right, it's gone to 5. So now this is going to go up to 14 something. Or 15, sorry. Failed that one. Oh, we're getting a little bit unlucky. Success. Okay, it's gone back to 5, so now it's going to go up to 15.22 if we fail. Why do I keep getting that value wrong? Okay, we're getting super lucky with the creature spawns. Oh, fuck! 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 The robot! Oh, shit. I was trying to have a quick look for sound effects earlier, guys, but the place I normally source them from, the website's down. So... have I lost him? Ah! Oh god, that's terrifying. With sound effects and everything, guys, it's going to be so freaking cool. Oh, I love him. I love him so much. Now, I don't think he's going to be able to see me when I'm on top of the barrel. If I jump down, he will. No. I am removing the the jump, guys. So you will not be able to jump in the game. There's just no point. It's literally there's no space to jump. Come at me, bro. That's so terrifying. I kid you not, guys. Thanks for the spam view, Memorable. I appreciate it. Okay, so the logic is working. So we compare... yeah, we set the spawn chance. So we set the spawn chance on the player character. We generate... we generate a random float. And then we compare the result with the spawn chance. If it's less or equal to that, then we spawn a creature. And we also reset the character's ability to... we reset the character's ability to spawn a creature to default. And then if the RNG is above the spawn chance, we increase the spawn. So that is the logic for the spawning kind of done. So what we now need to do is create the creature. Now we need to have another thing here where I'm thinking, because what I don't want to happen I don't want the player to be able to loot a container, discover a creature, and then continue looting and escort multiple ones at the same time. It's just going to be too much. And it might muck up things with the AI robot that's meant to grab the creature and return it to where it came from. So I think in that respect, we would basically, in the interact, before it even goes to that, we should have another gateway check that will say a boolean on the player is escorting. If they're not escorting, they're allowed to loot. Okay, because the interact, which is here, Yeah. So I'll put a gateway check on there. And this is going to be a is escorting. And by default, they don't have a creature following them, so it's going to be false. So we're going to set... Oh, sorry, apologies. We're going to get, and then, and then we're going to... Oh my god, my throat. So if that's true, then we're going to do another check. If that's false, then we do that. So the gateway check for a raycast or interacting is the player can the object be looted? If it can, then check is the player escorting. If they're not escorting, then we let them loot. So then when a creature is spawned, in the logic for when a creature is spawned, which is here, we're going to basically say set when we spawn the creature, we're going to be setting the logic to we're going to be setting the logic and saying after a creature spawned, we're going to say get the player's reference and get the player's boolean and say they're escorting, and then in the logic for when a creature is either rescued or captured by a robot and returned to its container, then then we will oh my god, then we'll we'll set the boolean of the player. So we're now going to need something that's kind of, I feel, accessible. I feel it needs to be like a spawn manager, because essentially we're going to have these different creatures. There's 4 creatures to collect. Let me just have a sip of my coffee. There's 4 creatures to collect, so we're going to need to have, I think, an array that has each creature in there. So we put the creatures into this array, and then we were basically, when we spawn the creature, we're basically going to go into that array, pick a random thing from the array, and then spawn it and remove it. Which then means the next time something's been looted, it won't repeat the same creature. So I'm feeling it might be best just to put it maybe on the player character. Or we could just have one called Spawn Manager. You know what? Let's just do one called Spawn Manager. We could call this BP Spawn Manager. Okay, so on begin play, I need to put this into the level as well. So the purpose of the spawn manager is just to handle, keep track of the creatures. So we're going to create an array. It's going to be an actor is an object that can be placed. I mean, would it be a pawn? Um, so okay, so I feel what I need to do now is create a blueprint for the different creatures. And then what we would do is we'd set the references also in begin play. And then you would plug those into the array. So then on the logic for spawning a creature, on the logic for spawning a creature, we will basically go to this, we'll call this array, we'll get a random, like, it should be removed, this should be, yeah. Okay, let's just why I didn't put that in its own folder. Robot A. Okay, so now we're going to create one called, what was the first creature? Gelatino. Okay, so I'm going to copy similar to when I made the first person character. We're going to copy this blueprint because that's what we did for the AI robot. So we're going to copy. Welcome to the stream, guys. We're going to copy the first person character, put it into Gelatino, and then rename it as BP Gelatino. So copy, paste, and then rename it as BP Gelatino. So we're in Gelatino, get rid of all that code. Doesn't need the camera. Doesn't need a first person mesh. Because the other AI doesn't, I don't think. No, it's just got mesh. So we can get rid of these variables because they're not getting used. Compile and save. And then we're going to get the skeletal mesh for Gelatino. And by default it's going to be the spawn. We'll leave the capsule collider at that height. I love him so much. Okay. So Gelatino will get spawned. Okay. And then so what we're going to need to do for this Right, so I'm going to create the next one, which is C.E.S.A.R. And you'll also notice Gelatino has the character movement. Alright, so we're going to go onto this one and call this C.E.S.A.R. Open that up. Go onto the mesh. And this is going to be C.E.S.A.R. Skeletal mesh. Spawn, C.E.S.A.R. spawn. There we go. They look so cool. AI Gelatino. So I'm gonna cut that. Oh, actually no. Make a new folder. Call it C.E.S.A.R. And then I'm gonna move C.E.S.A.R. into that. Okay. So we've got Gelatino, C.E.S.A.R. So I'm going to copy why can't we duplicate that? Okay. Octo Nymph. I'm going to copy, go into Octo Nymph and rename this to Octo Nymph. Open it up. Viewport, go to here, and then go to the assets, NPCs, Octo Nymph, get the skeletal mesh, and then the spawn. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3. So C.E.S.A.R, BP C.E.S.A.R, VP Gelatino, BP Octo Nymph. So now we're going to do the last one, the ugliest of them all, Bear Coon. So we're going to copy that, go into Bear Coon, and then just known as Bear Coon. Open up the blueprint, open the full editor, click on the mesh, go back to the assets, NPC, Bear Coon. I'm going to put the skeletal mesh on there, and we want the spawn. Compile, save. So now what we've got is we've got a blueprint for each creature. Okay, so there's no logic in there other than just the skeletal mesh. So coding the character to move and everything, that's going to be a whole nother job itself. But we've now got the 4 creatures. So what we can do is we can handle the logic for the creature to be spawned. Okay? And then within the blueprints, oh, it's going to be tricky, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Right, 4 creatures into the spawn manager. So now what we're going to do, What a bugger. um... Actually, what we should be able to do is just plug that in there. So we're adding Gelatino to the creatures array. And then we'll go on here. Do that, do that. Okay. So, on event begin play for the Spawn Manager, we are getting the Gelatino, we're setting a reference for him, and we're adding him to the creatures array. We're also getting Gekanda, doing the same there, adding him to the array. And then we get Octonymph and Bearcoon. So all four of those creatures should now be in that array. So we're gonna have to make a reference to the Spawn Manager under the loot barrel. Array? I don't want all actors of class. I said get actor of class. Cheeky bugger. Oh, I'm sure I didn't choose get all actors there. Okay, so we've now got a reference to Spawn Manager. I hope you're enjoying the stream, guys. I'm feeling really motivated today. I've got energy. I've had a good night's sleep. I'm making really good progress here. This is quite exciting. Let me just pump some units. Okay. Right, so now that we've got the spawn manager, in the spawn creature logic, I guess it would make sense to have the have the spawn manager be the one that is the kind of owner of the creature. So even though the barrel spawned it, so if I do a custom event in here, oh, sorry. Okay, so to spawn a creature, we're going to get the creature's array, and then we're going to get... Sorry guys, that's YouTube being a bell end. Oh! Okay. So we're going to have a variable under the barrel, and we'll call this spawn location. Actually, no. We can actually have it in here. Why is there an error? Well, yeah, I've not plugged anything in there. Compile of spawn manager. So basically, Okay, so we're gonna get a random creature. Um, I'm hoping that will work. Spawn actor. So what we now do is where we've got the spawn location. Hold on a minute. Spawn location. So we're going to we're going to go into the spawn manager and set the spawn location. So spawn manager, get spawn manager, set spawn, set spawn location. So when we're spawning a creature, if it's successful, success, reset the player's spawn, set the spawn location of the spawn manager. So basically this will get changed. This variable will get changed by all the different lootables. So each time a creature spawn is successful, it will go through the it will always be updated by that. So error. Oh, fudge. Right, so now we go in here, get the spawn location and plug that into there. I don't need to, like, if we split the pin, I don't need to change the rotation. Actually, hold on. I guess what we could actually do is set the transformation so it faces the player character when it's first spawned. Oh god, where's that going to be? Let me just save all, guys. We've got a lot of tabs open here. I think it's chase player. No, enemy controller. Rotate to face player. Or look at, is it look at? Okay, so the custom event for that, for spawn creature, it's going to go into our array. Bearing in mind the array is going to contain one of each creature. So when we spawn a creature, we're going to get a random creature from the array. And spawn that type. We're going to spawn it at the spawn location, which is defined in the lootable. And then it's going to face the player character when it spawns. Now I don't know what's going to happen because it's going to spawn and it's basically it might spawn inside the object. So if it does, this is where we're going to basically need to decide, are we going to spawn it on top of a lootable, and then it has a character movement component, so it should have all the gravity in there. So if it were to spawn on top of an object, if the player moves, the creature should walk and follow off of that. So that should handle the spawning. So we're going to test this. Okay, so that should work. So now in the lootable, we're gonna, from the spawn manager, we're gonna trigger spawn creature. Let's see if it works, guys. I'm a little bit nervous. I'm nervous but excited at the same time. Oh my god, we've not got one. We're at 57.78 spawn chance. Oh my god, 68.33% chance to spawn a creature. Okay. So it spawned it, but I don't see it. And there's no error code. Spawn the creature at the spawn location. Okay, I'm gonna try get actor location and see if that works a little bit better. Sorry, hold on. I'm gonna see if that works. I'm excited. So it didn't spawn. I mean, there's no errors with the code, so it could have spawned somewhere else in the level. Oh, okay. It spawned one. So where is it then? Right, okay. There we go. So I can now see. We can actually now see with the outliner. So I'm playing it in Pi. I'm playing it in a new window. I can see the outliner. Because I want to see that it does actually appear in the scene, and then we can try and see where it is. Give me 1 second. Pi. I'm not getting any errors. Spawn a creature. Get a... Oh. Right, so this is hopefully going to tell us that it's spawned. Zero, zero, zero. Well, that's no good. Why is it spawning at 000? It's meant to be... Why is it saying 00? Access none? So is it not actually getting spawned? Right, let's just test this. Let's put in Gelatino. We'll see if that works, and then we'll know it's probably this part that needs sorting. Fingers crossed, guys. Why is it saying it's not valid? Oh. What's the error? Right, so it's going to spawn it, should spawn it at the world location. Come on, Gelatino, spawn for me, baby. Come on, baby. Oh no! Robots in disguise. Oh my god. Oh! 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 I think that worked. The Z. Oh my god. It looked like it spawned. Why did it spawn negative? The 0, 0 is right there. I'm wondering if it got pushed out of the way because the portal's there. So if I if we do if we do 250 on the X, I think what happened there is because it spawned. I'm pretty sure it spawned on top of the portal that's already at world location 000. Hey! Gelatino! My dude! Yes! Yes, dude! You spawned! Yes, we've got our first creature, guys! Woohoo! Amazing. Amazing. Little... Oh, shit. Watch out, Gelatino! He's coming for you! This is great. Oh, this is great. This is great. Oh, mate, he's actually gone for Gelatino. Why has he gone for Gelatino? Interesting. Why are you going for him, dude? Interesting. Right, okay, so the logic then. Let's try and figure this out. So, I want to know why that didn't work. Why did that not work then? This works. Get a creature, I get that. So this works, and it looks like if we don't set the transform location, because it worked before that 000, but because there's something there, it spawns like off. If something's existing at 000, I think it's getting spawned beneath it because of the collision boxes. So we know that there's a creature in there. Get a random item from the array. And we know it's going to be one of those 4. Get class. So that was correct. In that case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug that in there. Plug that in there. Plug that in there. And I'm going to do this just to see if it actually works. I mean, we're getting the class here. We're defining, pick an object from here. We know what object it is. And we're getting a class of that object. This is the same as that. Let's see if it works this time. Fingers crossed, guys. The moment you've all been waiting for. Oh, we're not getting very lucky here, guys. Oh my god. The anticipation. Wow. Oh my god. 78% chance to spawn. Okay. He hasn't spawned. So is there something... Maybe it should be... class reference then. Maybe that's why it's not working. I think that's why. I think that's why. We know that works, so it's basically... I'm hoping this is going to work. Sorry, one sec, guys. I'm hoping this is going to work. I bloody hope so. Gelatino, Gekanda. Last one. Really hope this works. Right, so Gelatino, Gekanda, Octonymph, Bearcoon. So now, if we come off of that, get creatures, get random. And then plug that in there. Let's see if that works. No errors. Right, this is the moment of truth, the moment of destiny, my pedigree chums. Fingers bloody crossed. Let's get our little dude to spawn. The anticipation is killing me. Come on. Why is it not working? I don't understand that. This one works. Get the class. Is it? You know what? Let's try this. It doesn't seem right. I don't know if that's going to work or not. That doesn't seem right. This is ridiculous. The other node works. It spawns the creature, but this has been a bit of a bugger. Why is it being a bugger? What am I not doing correct? Talk to me. Yeah, it's still not happening, is it? Oh. We know it needs to we know this function works. We've managed to spawn the creature. We need to somehow Why is it not working though? I'm really stumped here. Ah. In the world, that's why. That's why it's not working. That's why it's not working, I think. Look at this node. Find the first actor in the world. There's none in the world, that's why. So we need to... God, this is so annoying. Okay, I've got a slightly different way of doing this. It's annoying because I'm not sure on the node. I think I know what the problem is. I don't think I need to do any of that. I think I've got this now. I've already said what that reference is right there. I think this is now going to work. Please work. Please work. This should work now. Come on! Let's go, baby! He's taking the piss. For fuck's sake. Alright, let's test this. Let's just put in Gekanda and just see if this actually works. Let's just see if it works, because maybe it's that bit that's the problem. Come on. For fuck's sake, why is that not working? Event begin play, add it to an array. I don't know why that's not working. I really don't know why that's not working. This one does. But literally getting a random creature from there, it's ridiculous. I don't know why that's not working. This one does. This one doesn't. It's almost like I'm going to have I'm going to have a random... I mean, the other option that is going to work is to just have 4 of these, 1 for each creature, and then have random integer. And then depending whatever's chosen, you know, it will spawn that one. And then I shouldn't have to do that though. Like, what? This... I don't know why that's not working. Anyway, I'll just show you again, guys, just because it's cool. Because this does work. It's so frustrating. I genuinely can't see why it's what I'm doing wrong. Breaks my heart. See? He spawns. It works. So then what we'd need to do is handle the case where he spawns, like we want him to... Yeah. We'll look at this code later. I do need to go though, guys, but I will be back later tonight because super pumped with this. I can see it's working. I just need to figure out this section here, this section, and why that's not working. And then we need to handle the case where it spawns. If there's an object at that location, it needs to pick a free space, basically. Right, if you enjoyed the stream, guys, feel free to give us a follow on Twitch to stay up to date. If you want to see previous streams I've done, go check out my YouTube below. I've got playlists for Unreal, Unity and Blender. And if you want to play any games I've made, check out my itch. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next stream.